Hi everyone, it's Heidi with Downtown NorCal. Today I'm going to be talking to a business owner in Walnut Creek. As you all know, since the pandemic I've been covering mostly Yolo County, but I've learned of someone who really speaks for an entire industry and they are feeling left out and forgotten. So please meet Michelle Savacci. She's the owner of Blinks and Brows Studio in Walnut Creek. She is a cosmetic tattoo artist. Hi, Michelle.
Correct. Hi, thanks for having me.
When I learned about your story, I was on social media like many of us are, and you really had a lot to say about your being left out of any kind of categorization that would allow you to reopen. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so, we are licensed and regulated by the Environmental Health Department, not state barbers and hairdressers, but we are still thought of as, at least permanent makeup artists, the beauty industry. Definitely, I don't think that's the same feeling as body tattoo artists or piercers, but yet it is the same department. In fact, we all have the same form. Are you applying for cosmetic tattoo, body tattoo, or, piercing? And so we have the same inspectors that come around, so on. So, in order to do what we do, we have regulations that we need to follow, very strict rules to have a licensed facility. And so, in order to do that, it's a big deal. And so we want very much to follow these guidelines and stuff, but it's just becoming, impossible to do this any longer.
In the context of a pandemic, what can you say about your regular practice that would make it safe for someone to seek your services?
Sure. So many people don't know, again, because we're beauty, they don't realize that actually our settings, more often than not, are very clinical. They actually look like a doctor's office or a dentist's office. When we work with the public, just like as estheticians will do now, we wear gloves, we often wear masks. We try to follow OSHA regulations. We don't have, well, typically, although some professionals do have staff and employees, they're under different guidelines, of course. They need to follow OSHA guidelines. Even as a sole practitioner, we have these guidelines that we still want to follow because our industry has an interesting past. And I think all of us that are legit, that have put our lives on the line, our livelihoods on the line, and stepped up to open a storefront, we want to set the best example of sanitation and safety for the public. And so we, everything is wrapped, everything, we have barrier tape, we operate in a very safe, sanitary way. Always have.
And you, pardon me.
I'm sorry.
The perils of technology, sorry about that. You mentioned that you also have a certification you have to go through annually, the bloodborne pathogen.
Yeah, we do have a bloodborne pathogens examination that we have to do every year and submit with our, renewal applications. And there's a fee for that too. So every requirement that we have, as a business person, it's we have to pay for. So not having income coming in is quite frankly devastating. And our industry, like the beauty industry, because we are not Fortune 500 industries, often we split space with other people, we have renters. And so if those people can't, like if we're part of a group of say 3 or 4, 10 people in a salon, one person cannot afford $5, $6, $7, $10,000 for a space every month. I mean, this is just, it's devastating to our industry. So I guess to answer your question, we have always had these regulations, and that we have always operated with safety standards, very high when we work with the public.
You mentioned previously that you feel there's a stigma around your industry. Do you think that is why you are being excluded from being categorized to potentially reopen?
Yeah, it's either that or just an oversight. And I, being that this is my entire life, I really struggle with it. I could have been an oversight. I mean, to put us in the same category as gyms and schools, quite frankly, it's like someone went, like, oh wait, where do we stick these guys? We'll just stick them over here. Oh, because they're tattoo, because they work with blood. Ew. So let's even put them on a lower level, not realizing anything about what we really do and how we operate. And so I don't think that anyone was consulted. I think that somebody that probably never had a tattoo possibly put us into the category of gyms, and it just feels unfair, and it feels like I'm just somebody, I'll operate by rules all day long, but those rules need to make sense. And if those rules are holding me down for no reason that I can justify, then I'm not going to follow those rules, forever. So we're all hanging in there as long as we can. But frankly, I can tell you, I know a lot of beauty professionals. I don't know many tattoo artists, cosmetic people in exactly my industry that are seeing people. I'm hearing a little bit about it right now. But my gosh, lash artists and hairdressers have been working out of homes and driving around for months. I mean, it's more normal that is actually what's been going on. Not to say that that's everybody. I know there's always, I don't want to generalize everybody, but my general feeling, my personal feeling is that those guys went kind of like, they made decisions right away and started working because I can't operate. I'm not going to tattoo someone on their kitchen table. I have worked very hard to have a very safe, sanitary space to work, and to work outside that space when I really consider myself, paramedical. It just seems really wrong. So for the most part, I feel like tattoo artists, cosmetic tattoo artists, are really holding out before we have to flip that switch. But it's going to happen soon because my landlord has been so gracious and has been letting me slide on the rent, but yet there are still fees that I need to pay, which he obviously has to pay. So I understand his dilemma too. But I'm having the unemployment cut in half. I mean, I not to get into specific numbers, but it is like a fourth of what I'm expected to live on now, and the numbers can't float like rational thought at this point.
We did talk a little bit about your peers, people who comprise the industry. You mentioned single mothers in particular. So who of your peers, what is that?
Yeah. Not to say that there are not men. Well, I think in the body tattoo world, you traditionally have a lot of men in that industry. I don't do body tattoo, not even tiny tattoos, but for permanent makeup, for aesthetic tattoo artists, for medical aesthetic artists, we have been, majority of us are women, and honestly, I think a majority is single women. I myself, I'm single. I have 2 kids, 13, 16, and they're expensive, and I know many people that are struggling that didn't qualify for any unemployment just because maybe they were doing this maybe on the side, so yeah, the majority of my industry are single mothers, and the majority of the industry, because microblading has become so popular in the last couple of years, the majority of my industry, probably about 60%, are new people in the last couple of years. So what that means is I have 20 years of doing this. So I have clients, I know as soon as I open those doors, I'm going to have people that are going to need, touch-ups around the block. But for many people, that's not the case. For many people were just starting out with Groupons. They were starting out with, giving huge discounts. They don't really have their book of business built up. And so it's especially devastating for those people.
Yeah. Michelle, how long have you been out of work and unable to work? And was there ever a time since the pandemic started that you were able to open?
Yeah, no, for me in Contra Costa County, no, not as a tattoo artist. I think it was the first week of March. And in fact, I was building up to start something with another project. So I'd taken a week off before even March. I was coming back from Texas and this was all happening. And but basically March till now, and no, nothing, we have never been able to operate. Again, there's no communication really with us, except for the Environmental Health Department has sent out several huge packets. I hate to think what that would have cost. I mean, they have our emails. I mean, it's like, all these systems are like being created brand new, and we've had these already. And there's been really no communication other than these are all the guidelines for everybody. And then we're kind of put in somewhere down here. So again, I think it's just people think that we are this close to people's faces and, you know, that we're just no masks, no anything, but that's not the case.
Okay. Well, I've been talking with Michelle Savacci. She is the owner of Blinks and Brows Studio in Contra Costa County. Michelle, I'm really grateful for the chance to talk to you and hear about an industry I had not considered before today.
Yeah, it really is. It's my industry is an amazing industry of artists and creators who, you know, not being able to move forward. Like I said before, it takes a lot for anybody to open up their own shop, to go out on their own and run their own business. And to do that and to simply be told no and to then have it taken away just because it really is mind-blowing. And like I said, this is going to become a public health concern when people to just basically pay their minimum bills are going to have to be doing services wherever they can and outside of their licensed safe sanitary workstations that, you know, we have worked so hard to create for ourselves and for the safety of the public.
Well, I sure hope this platform helps public officials take a look and
so too.
Consider where you are.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining me, and everyone, I will be seeing you tomorrow for another interview.